Right. Hey, I saw the in the hub where they had the new poll that you could do, and I'm looking at some of the comments down here, and I just wanted to go through some of these, wishing that there was a driving range so you could solo practice. Golf is, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what utility that would be in the game. In real life, I'm trying to equate like when you go to the driving range and you're practicing versus when you're in the game. And I'll tell you, there's a huge difference between going to the driving range and when you're actually out in the field and actually on the course. So I'm not exactly sure what benefit there would be, but in a game like this, it's really about playing another opponent. My only complaint about playing other opponents is if you're one of those players that's trying to go up in tours and you're trying to be a max trophy player, once you get up to tour 10, tour 11, you really can't go back below. If you're at tour 10, you're probably going to be able to go to maybe tour 8 and play live players. Anything lower than that, and you're going to be playing replays. If you're a max player and you're playing in tour 12, you'll probably be able to play down to tour 11, maybe tour 10. So how many courses that you can play and actually be playing against live opponents is going to be limited. That's one of my big complaints about going all the way up, is that you're just limiting how many courses that you can play on. But I don't know that they'll ever do a driving range, because really it's about hopefully playing against real people and not playing against replays. I got one on here about the cheat that's on here. Anybody that cheats in any of these games I don't understand it. If you're trying to use a glitch that's on there, you're trying to take advantage of the game. I get it. I totally see. We do that in a lot of things in our lives. We try and find the angle to get a little bit of an advantage on something. But when we're playing this game, hopefully Playdemic can keep the playing field fair and make sure that any glitches like that, or if they catch people cheating, that they ban them from the game. There was a couple other really good ones on here. They want to know if they, right here, I'd like to see a tournament where everyone has the same clubs and balls. I don't see that happening. It's just like in real golf. I played for years. I've never seen anybody else play with the clubs that I have. And so everybody's got their own equipment and everybody feels comfortable with what they have, and I don't know that will ever happen, or even that would be a good thing for everybody to be out there playing with the same clubs. The way that the brackets are set up and the way that the algorithm is for matching people up in the qualifying rounds, let's say, if you're in rookie or pro or whatever tournament you're playing in the qualifying rounds, you may be against people that are lower level, have lower clubs, or at a lower trophy count. But as the tournament goes on, you get into the opening round and you get into the weekend round, I guarantee you in the weekend round you're playing against people that have the same experience level as you, same games played, same clubs. In the weekend rounds, I don't play against scrubs that have level 2 extra miles. Everybody's got maxed out stuff. So I think as the weeks go on, as the weekend goes, as we get towards the weekend round in a tournament, the competition is super tight. And I don't really care what bracket or what division or what you're playing in. The competition is real tight when you're up in there. There are some people that can sandbag. You can play, there may be somebody that's only been playing tour 3 or 4 and they've played it forever and they've got all those 3 or 4 level clubs maxed out and they're playing down there and they've got a little bit better stuff and they've only got a few trophies, that may be able to sandbag a little bit. But for the most part, if you've been playing this game for a long time, when you get into a weekend round, you're going to be playing against people that have the same stuff as you. There's no gimmies here. I always see when people go, oh yeah, there's just so many. You don't see a lot of people with top 3 banners in the course of a day. They ain't giving that stuff away. Anybody who's ever played in a tournament knows they're not giving any of that stuff away. One of the big ones that I see on here, and where is it at, where they're talking about bitching about maxed out clubs, so they're getting extra club cards. I know there was about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year, they talked about making some change to the game and actually doing something for us to use those club cards. I really don't care if they ever do anything for us to use those club cards. I still have some clubs that I am working on, and I continue to get club cards for clubs that are maxed out, and I have no problems with that whatsoever. And I'm not really interested in trading those club cards for balls. You know, if they had, maybe they have an extra piece of equipment, you have to have 10,000, or they have some math, because obviously one Apocalypse card is worth more than, you know, one rocket. If you got a maxed out rocket and you got a maxed out Apocalypse, you know, those cards that you have in the Apocalypse are going to be worth a little bit more. They could have a point system where if you have 20,000 or 50,000 points, you could get a glove, and maybe the glove gives you a, maybe on one club you could put 5 points wherever you want, or, you know, they could work out something like that. But every time they do a change like that, it lends itself to wanting to break the game. And one of the things that's cool about Playdemic, and one of the things that I really like that they've done, is they haven't catered to breaking the game. They haven't catered to the people at the very top who are spending the most amount of money by giving them things to continue, to increase them spending money by breaking the game, so that the game becomes useless for everybody who's not at the very top. Right now, the competition at every level, rookie, pro, expert, master, is awesome. And anything that they do, you know, it's really easy to go, hey, we need to do this, but you have to look at the big dynamics on whether or not that breaks the game or not. And really what we don't want is for them to do any change that's going to break the game. So here, I really annoyed whenever I max out a club, it still collects cards. Hey, that's how it works. You know, you were irritated that you weren't getting the club cards you want. Now they're maxed out, and now you're irritated that you're still getting them. And I have club cards where I've got 10,000 extra club cards in there, and I couldn't care less. I'm just happy to have that club maxed out. I think having our clubs where at some point, if you've played long enough and you've played enough, you max out your clubs. You know, you maxed out your clubs. And so, you know, that's how that works. At least one part of the game, once you get that part maxed out, everybody has that opportunity to max that out, and nobody can get an advantage. So the people that have been playing forever and have all those cards, if you give them something for those cards that gives them an advantage, that's going to leave out millions of people who didn't start when the game first came out. So there's a big balance on whether or not, you know, those types of changes can break the game, and we do not want them to make a change that will break the game. The game is good like it is. The number one problem is long putts that you just can't hit. I will say that a lot of the holes that came out when the game first came out, there were spots that you could be on a green where you couldn't make the putt. And what I have noticed that they're doing is that they've gone back to some of those holes and they've redesigned those greens. Just in the last tournament in the Americana Classic, there was one of the greens that's on there that in the past, if you were low on the green, you were definitely not going to get up over the hill. You were sunk. And they've redesigned that green so that you can get on. And I've noticed several other greens that they've redesigned, so even if you're far away, you can still get there. One of the comments on here was, you know, why can't we upgrade our putter? What are we going to upgrade it to? I mean, that putter hits longer than another putter. So really, I think having one putter is not a problem, but having them go back and redesign the green so that no matter where you're at on a green, it may be a max overpower putt, but you actually have the opportunity anywhere on the green to be able to get on. And in real life, I can tell you, I've been on some par 3s that were massive, and I wish to myself that I was on the fringe or on the apron where I could chip it up there. I'd have a much better shot of chipping it up there than I would with the putt, because I'm making a 60-foot putt versus a chip on some of these big greens, and that's just how it works. That's how it works in real life too. Sometimes a chip is easier than a putt. Let's see what else we got here. There was a couple other on here that I really liked the idea, and I want to talk about wind. There was some of them on here that were talking about wind on holes where they wish that they would change how wind works so that it's not like one time the winds, our first shot we're getting a tailwind, and then the second shot we're getting a headwind. And hold on one second. All right, I went and grabbed the scorecard from just a random golf course, Birkdale Golf Club in Huntsville, North Carolina. And this is a great layout right here that will show. This is what I wish that Playdemic would do with wind. So when the game first came out, what would happen is that you'd be on hole number 1. Where's hole number 1? Here's hole number 1 right here. You'd be on hole number 1, and you played whenever you played, and you had your drive shot, and you had a somewhat tailwind. And then 2 hours later, your buddy gets on, and they're playing this hole, and they've got a side wind. And then later on in the afternoon, somebody gets on, and they've got a headwind. So depending on when you got on, it was random, just like in one-on-one play. Every time you went to this hole, you could get... So that gave some people a serious advantage. In real golf, guess what? You get that advantage. If you're playing early in the morning, especially depending on the time of year where you get dew on the course, if you're playing in some of those early morning rounds, you can get killer reads off the course. If you're playing in like the second or third group going and the dew's still on there, you can get really good putt reads because of the ball. Because you can see where the ball went because of the dew that's on the course. As that dew starts to melt off, those people in the afternoon don't have that advantage. They don't know. Also, in the morning, the sun comes up, we get a little bit of wind, the air starts to heat up, we get a little thermal dynamics going on, and the wind's blowing a little bit, and then as the afternoon comes, maybe it settles down. Or maybe in the afternoon, a storm's coming through the area, and so there's wind. So when you're playing in real golf, you're going to get variances. You're going to get big variances. Wind may not be as big a problem in the real world as it is in this game, but there are some variances. So people were really ticked off about it. So what Playdemic did was they made the wind stable so that everybody who got on hole number 1, there was this kind of wind. But what gets me is that you have this kind of wind on the first shot, and then you have this kind of wind on the second shot, and that's not how this works. The area here, and let's just say this is north and this is south. I have no idea what the directions are. So north, south, and we have a prevailing north wind. So that means on hole number 1, the tee box is back here, and here's the green. So on hole number 1, we're going to be hitting into a headwind. But when we get to hole number 8, here's the tee box, and here's the green. We're going to be hitting with a prevailing tailwind. When we're on hole number 5, we're going to be hitting with a pure right to left side wind. Okay, when we're on hole number, let's look at one of the other ones. Here's the green here. We're going to be hitting into the wind. If we're on hole number 9, we're going to be hitting into the wind. And so every one of these holes the wind is going to be represented by what the prevailing wind is. So if Playdemic came out and said, hey, this right here is how Sakura Hills is set up. Or in this tournament, we have this hole, this hole, this hole, and this hole. There's Sakura Hills, and this hole, this hole, this hole, or Gokasha Bay, or whatever. And so they've said this is what the configuration of the course is, and we have a prevailing wind that's blowing in this direction. So then we could look at the holes and go, hey, when we get on this hole, because what happens in the tournaments right now is we almost always have favorable wind. In Expert, there'll be a few holes, at least one hole in every tournament where the wind is kind of going in a different direction than it is in all the other tours or all the other divisions. So you may not be getting that advantage on that hole. But what I would really like to see is where we don't always have the wind that we're looking for. And the wind is going to be based off of this, and it will change from day to day. So today, in Tuesday's qualifying round, we know they announced that, hey, today, the prevailing wind is going in this direction. So we got north, south, east, west. And so the wind right now is going, we have a northeasterly wind, right? And then tomorrow they go, hey, now we've got a wind that's running pretty much north. That would add some variance to it, and everybody's going to end up playing with the same wind, but it's harder to set those shots up so that you can go there and go, hey, this is what I'm going to get. Today, the weather, hey, on the weekend round, the weather conditions were awesome when we got a good wind. Or, hey, on the weekend round, a little stormy in the area and the wind's blowing in a different direction. But having it so that it's consistent from hole to hole, it makes sense. So if you hit your first shot here and you end up, excuse me, if you hit your first shot here and you end up in, if I can get this thing to quit jerking around. So you hit your first shot and you end up in the rough, your second shot's going to have the same wind. You know, if it was a headwind, tailwind, whatever. And so that means that the wind's consistent and actually plays a little bit more like what would happen in the real world. I really would like to see them adjust that wind out so that we have a little more consistency and it makes a little bit more sense. I really like to see the wind stuff go. The other thing is that, okay, think about how Playdemic works. You got holes 1 through 9 and holes 10 through 18. The reason that they don't show scores when you're you're on hole number 1, the reason they don't show your score, like your overall score in the tournament and your opponent's overall score in the tournament, is because you're on hole 1, your opponent might be on hole 10. So it gives Playdemic the opportunity to run people through, and they only have to deal with 9 holes. Now, when the game first started, obviously there's not as many players. Now we have millions of players out there. What I would really like to see happen, because we have enough holes in the game now, is I would really like to see a tournament where we have 18 holes. 18 different holes. And so you have to play 18 holes, not play those 9 and then get your notes down and then go back out and try and perfect those 9 holes again, but 18 different holes. That would be an awesome thing for them to start doing. I mean, as far as tournaments go, the two things that I think would really that are the fair things to do is, number 1, standardize the wind. Give us a course layout and tell us what the prevailing wind is, so that when we look at these holes, we can go, hey, we're going to end up with a headwind, or if we're going to end up with a side wind. Or if we're in this spot right here, we're going to be hitting with the wind. And if we're hitting over to this spot right here, we're going to have a little bit of a side wind, so that we can, when we're setting our shots up. And playing 18-hole tournaments, I think Golf Clash has got, you know, and they don't necessarily have to do that every time. They could do a test, and it's kind of like the 9-hole cup. They could do a test on it and see how it works and how people can get through the gameplay. You may end up finding yourself playing against replays more often because you're on hole 14 and there's, at that particular moment, maybe you played late in the round and there's not anybody on hole 14. But I would like to see 18-hole tournaments, and I would like to see the wind a little bit more standardized, where they give us a course layout like this. I think that would really help us out. So let's go back and see what other things they have on here. See if there's any other good ones. It always cracks me up when people, some of the things that people are irritated about just crack me up. Sick to death of getting club cards for clubs that are maxed out. Hey, are you not happy with your clubs? You got maxed out clubs and the guy's not happy. And there's those of you that are out there that are trying to get your clubs, some of your clubs maxed out, and the commons are easy to max out. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to get your clubs, your common clubs, up to 9 and 10. And get them to that level. It just cracks me up that people are irritated about that. And if we do anything to use those cards, I really think that they take a big opportunity, unless you're just trading cards for balls. One of the things that I haven't seen on any of these that cracks me up is when the game first came out. Let's go see if my Golf Clash is up. You know it's not. When the game first came out, whatever ball they were offering that week, now they usually offer like 2 balls in a week. So they just got done with the solstice ball, and I'm sure either come opening round or come weekend round, they'll offer another ball. The solstice ball was a low wind ball. They'll probably offer a ball with more power. But when these tournaments first came out, what could happen is you actually won. Like maybe they only offered 1 ball that week. So let's say it was the gridiron ball was the ball that they offered that week. And I think I have some balls from way back when, Labor Day. This is Labor Day 2017 ball. Okay. Back then, if you were in, and I can't remember what the numbers were, if you were in the top 10 in a bracket, you actually won some of these balls. You actually won some of the balls that they were offering that week. And I really liked that when they offered that. Now, obviously, if you're a top 10 player, you can pick up some of those balls, and so it may prompt you not to buy a pack. So that's why they took that out. But I did like it when, if you finished well in the tournament, you got some of those balls, maybe a pack, 3 or 4, like the Berserkers. You got some of those balls for finishing up at the top, whatever balls they were offering that week. I thought that was a pretty cool deal. And when they took it out, I understand why they took it out, but it was kind of cool that you could win those balls during a tournament session. Solo play. There's no such thing in golf as a one-man. If there's one person out there playing, and there's people behind them, the people behind them, if the group that's behind them has the right of way. Anybody out there on a golf course that's playing by themselves in golf really has kind of no standing, because golf is a competition sport where there should always be 2 people, at minimum of 2. Actually playing at the same level, game matches us up with someone who already has played the hole. In a tournament, your score in the match is 1 shot under your opponent. If you lose, or it should let the player complete his hole and give the real score. Yeah, in some cases we can help our opponent. Our opponent's in the rough, they're having a lot of trouble, we get an eagle, they end up getting a birdie. By the looks of it, they probably would have got a par. In some respects, I totally get that, because that person may be, it's not as much now as it used to be, but it used to be, if you got on and you started playing as soon as you got into a bracket, you were playing against other people in the bracket because of how many people were playing the game worldwide. Now you may or may not ever see a one-on-one match in a tournament against anybody in your bracket, because there's just so many people that are playing. But it would be nice. But you may end up with somebody in your bracket and you got the eagle and they end up getting a birdie when they probably would have got a par, and then they end up beating you because they got that 1 shot. So I kind of understand that, but I'm not sure how they would fix that. They just have to make that person hole out and then you win the match. I'm not sure how that dynamic would work, but that is something that could be explored. And so the stroke play thing is the game is match play, and that's absolutely right. The game's match play and not stroke play. But when we're in the tournament, it's all about strokes. So maybe in the tournament it's a little bit different. A Ryder Cup format with 2 clans would be immense. Now, I think that the clan thing has been totally unexplored. The clans have been out now for a while, and I'm kind of disappointed in where we're at with the clan stuff. And why I'm disappointed at that is because it presents a whole bunch of opportunities. Maybe a clan chooses a tour or a course, and that's their home course. Maybe at the end in an in-between week, so the tournament ends next Sunday, come Monday morning, that's the last week in that bracket. Everybody in that clan bracket, that division, has a tournament. Because a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in there is guys are playing one-on-one, and those clans are playing one-on-one, but if you looked at how many points they actually score in the tournament, maybe you've got a clan like my clan, where I try and cater to rookies. I'm trying to help rookies learn how to play the game. And so we do really well in the tournaments. We score points during the one-on-one play, but our thing is that we're a tournament playing clan. We love to play tournaments, so we're going to score a lot of points in a tournament, and that could change that dynamic. You got a clan that plays really well one-on-one, but they're not a really big tournament clan, but they're in the top 20, top 25, and we're in 40th, and we're getting most of our points from tournaments. It would be nice if the people that are in that bracket, that clan bracket, actually had to play each other in a tournament. And we had more interaction in the clans, giving us the ability in the clan to maybe have, like a men's club tournament. There's a course not too far from my house, and the men's club there, we have men's clubs tournament, and then the winner from that men's club tournament represents that clan, and then they go play against all the other clans. And so there's a bunch of stuff they could do at the clans to have more interaction and more competition at every level. Part of that is that it's all about catering to the top 100 right now. It's all about catering to people that want to be maxed out Masters players. And the one thing that I really like about Playdemic is that a lot of games leave people behind. So if you're playing, let's say, one of the castle building games, and I came from Clash of Kings, so if you're playing Clash of Kings and you're in a kingdom and there's a bunch of 30 level castles and you're starting off, you're toast, dude. I mean, you're toast. You're never going to catch up to those people. And people talking this about buying their way to the top. I don't care how many gems you buy or what you do, you're not going to buy all of your clubs. You're going to have to win and open up chests in order to make that happen. Can people buy club cards and help accelerate that process? You bet. But they didn't buy all those club cards. They worked their way up. Whereas in a lot of those games, you can buy your way to the top. In Clash of Kings as an example, I've seen people start with nothing and within an hour they're a prestige level castle. And they spent $2 or $3 grand and they went from 0 to prestige level in a matter of hours, and they just threw money at it. This game's not like that. You are going to have to put in some time in order to learn how to play the game and to build your stuff up, and it just takes a while. Let's see what else we got. Lost about 15 games in a row in shootouts. Yeah, well, that's how it works. I played, when I started playing Tour 10 or Tour 9, I went there the very first day and I won 16 in a row. I got half the trophies in that tour the very first day, and then it took me 2.5, 3 months to get the other half. I went in and won 16 the first day, and I think the next day I lost like 16 out of 20. That's just how it works. Should remove giving cards for maxed out clubs. I mean, that get over that. I am really happy that the clubs are a solid deal. That there's one thing in the game that we can max out, and that when we get to that point, nobody in the game's going to have an advantage. And everybody's really big on, there are clubs out there that people don't use that, you know, a lot of times I see people, they're picking the wrong clubs, or they're bringing the wrong clubs to the knife fight. Maybe make it so you could trade those cards for club cards you need. No, I'm not a big fan on that. Originally, when this game first came out, there was an actual Golf Clash forum, not Facebook, a real forum. And the big debate was, like maybe trading them for balls. And I wasn't really a big fan of that at the time. But I think if they do anything that increases increases your ability on a club, or increases that stuff, what you're doing is you're taking the people that have been playing the game forever, and you're giving them an advantage. And like a lot of these games, you're giving the top players an advantage that nobody else is going to be able to ever get up to. So maybe trading them for balls is the right option. I don't have any problems at all with them just sitting there. It doesn't bother me anyway whatsoever. Option to eliminate ties, get their coins back. That's not how golf plays. It's golf, and if you've ever played real golf, there is a little bit of gambling out on the course, and you're putting up a little bit if you're playing against people and we're not going to leave until somebody walks away with more money in their pocket than they left. So I don't see that giving our coins back. The whole deal is that, hey, get better at shootouts. Have pins. And I know this right here, I think it'd be awesome to have the pins move in the final round of the tournaments. In real golf, they will move the pins around from day to day, and it'll be in a different spot. I think, it's easy for us to go, hey, why don't you just put the hole over here? I think there's a lot of algorithm dynamics leading towards the hole that I'm not sure how it would work if they move the holes. I'm not sure how easy that would be for Playdemic to just move the holes from day to day. From one round to the next. I'm not sure how that would work, but I really like that idea, because that takes away some of that setup. Like, hey, you get here, you put on 3 backspin, you do this, and you're in this spot, and it's got a really serious shot. The next day, you're in a totally different spot, and you have to have a different setup. I really do like that idea, but I'm not sure how hard it would be for Playdemic to make that happen. Wish you could donate coins to fellow clan members. I wish that we could play higher tours than 4, and I know it's all about the coin thing, and it would be nice if we could play more than just Tour 4 against our clan members, not getting suckered into playing any more of the premium stuff. Practice coming tournaments offline. Why, and let's see if there's any other good ones on here. Maybe we'll do one more good one here. my proudest achievement was the day I quit this game. Well, then why don't you just quit right now? Club card thing. People are stuck out on that club card thing. You know, I'm not exactly sure. If you go to a real golf club, you go into a store, you buy clubs, your clubs are maxed out. I mean, that's the deal. You got your clubs maxed out. So I think what Playdemic could do to get these people to quit talking about that is just, if it's maxed out, don't give them any club cards for it. That chest only had 2 clubs in it instead of the 6 because it was a platinum, and they don't get anything for it. Or, you know, that's just how it works. Top players in my expert bracket had a minus 38 last tourney, and I'll tell you, I have no idea how that happens. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, if you do the math, I have no idea. Somebody shot a minus 35 in one of the brackets from one of my clanmates, and I don't know how that works. I mean, that's a monster score. I mean, I'm not saying that, and I'm saying the same thing here. I'm not saying they cheated, but come on, a minus 38. That's what, 15? That's minus. That's minus 19 aside. There's 9 holes. 2 times 9 is 18. I mean, that. How do you do that? I would like to see more. I would like to see us with the clan thing in a clan reward system to encourage more play from all members. I'd like to see something where the president can give the top person in their clan something, or we can have a heavy hitter, or we can have stuff where we can encourage more play and more interaction with our clans, and more interaction with our clan within the bracket that we're playing in. 1 club and 1 putter for a tournament. Well, and I'll tell you, we go into this right here. One of the things that and from the very beginning, I know we have multiple bags that we can choose from now in a one-on-one play. And in some respects, I really like that, because you can go out to a hole and you can, for me, I'm shooting video, so I can demo that hole and I can go, hey, I'm going to use my accurate bag and I'm going to use a quarterback on this to show you what a quarterback looks like, and I can switch it up. But it would be nice in a tournament if we had to declare a tournament bag, because I'm going to tell you what, you're going to have some real big thought. We're going to have to shoot an hour video on every tournament just to talk about what should be our bag. You know, there's holes that you go, man, I need to bring the big dog and it'll give me the shot on there. And so you bring a big dog, but the big dog sucks on all 8 other holes. So maybe the person that brought the big dog in their bag can get you on that hole, but they're going to be in big trouble on the other one. So picking the clubs that you want to declare for that tournament or for that round. So this is the clubs I'm declaring for the opening round. And then between the opening round and the weekend round, when you get ready to do the weekend round, you have to declare a set of clubs for the weekend round, and that's the only set of clubs that you can bring. You could change your ball, because the balls are how they're making money in the game, so we don't want to mess with how Playdemic makes money. We want to make sure that they keep making the game so that we can keep playing. But declaring a set of clubs, that would tighten it up, because people aren't going to be able to bring out those special clubs for that one hole. They're not going to be able to put that, you know, that machete or that Houdini in their bag, because on that hole, if you end up in the rough or the sand, you're really going to need a backspin club. You know, are you going to bring those clubs just for those 1 or 2 holes? Or are you going to bring your Nirvana and your Spitfire because distance is more of is always better? That's something that they could do to seriously, you know, change the game on how we play it. That with an 18-hole tournament, whew, well, I'll tell you, you'll hear some people crying on that, but that would really be awesome. Suggest you limit a player so that they can only play 1 level down. Oh my gosh! You know, you watch some of the videos, or you hear some of the stuff, and people are like, "Hey man, once you get to this point, you should be playing pro, or you should be playing expert, or you should be playing masters." Why? Why should I only be playing masters when now I can only play? There's only like maybe 3 or 4 courses I can play and get live opponents, and if I don't play in those 3 or 4 courses, I'm playing against an AI, or not an AI, but a cherry-picked replay. It's a game. I don't know about the rest of you, but there's this thing. And let me see if I can get this right. There's this thing called real life, and I wasn't able to quit my job at the insurance company so that I can play Golf Clash all day long. Hey, I'm not one of those kids that gets out of school and can go home and can play for 3 hours every day. Um, for most of us, we have that thing called real life, and real life is going to, we'll have to decide how much time we can invest in a game. And maybe where we're having fun is we're having fun at pro. Maybe we're having fun at rookie. Maybe we're having fun at expert. Maybe we're having fun and we have the time to play masters. Maybe we have the time, money. You watch those guys that play masters and you look in their bag and you look at what clubs they have. They're not buying $4.99 packs. Every time they get on a hole on one-on-one, they have to bring out whatever it takes to win that hole or they're going to lose, regardless of their equipment. If it takes a berserker to win that hole or if it takes a snow globe or whatever, then they got to pull it out. Otherwise, their opponent's going to pull it out and going to beat them. So they can't afford to have 5 or 10 of those balls in their bag. They need 250 of them. And that means that every time one of those offers comes out where there's a $100 offer, they're buying a $100 pack. And those come out, 3-4 times? You figure twice per tournament. So that means that they're buying $400 up to maybe $400 they're spending in a month. Maybe they're buying the $49 packs on some of them and they're spending a couple $100 a month. That's $2,400 a year. I've already played a game where you had to spend that kind of money. I'm not interested in spending that. I want to play where I can have fun. I can put a little bit into the game, make sure Playdemic's got some cheddar so they can keep going on, and I want great competition, and that's what we're getting in all of these brackets. What I see a lot is people going up to pro or expert, and then they're going, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, hey, dude, you weren't doing very good when you were a rookie. So why did you leave rookie if you weren't doing very good? And you were in pro and you weren't doing very good, and you went to expert. You went to expert because, they got better prizes in expert. Well, hey, dude, you were barely making the weekend round in pro. And now you're trying to go into expert, and then you're upset because you're not doing very well. Everybody here is cheating, and everybody here's got better clubs. Well, hey, go play where you can be successful, or go play where you can have fun. I guarantee you there's going to be great competition at any place that you play. You're not going to get any freebies here. You're not going to go out and go, well, the average minimum score was 12, and I shot a 12, and I ended up winning a tournament. That ain't going to happen. You may get a top 20, but you've got to play. Every one of these things is going to be really, really tight. Stop the cheating. Minus 26, 71st, and then I had some making it the weekend round with minus 24 in the top 15 in the group. Yeah, and that just depends on the group that you're playing in. Depends on the thing. My upper level rookie account, heck, last tournament, minus 24, I think minus 24 went to like 70, almost 80th place. So those brackets are tight. I mean, the difference between the people in first and the people in 80th was just a few strokes. That's how tight it was. Because those brackets are put together to make it so that the competition is really, really tight. So we can find one more that's different. When you're playing a fixed game going dark, I definitely don't like it when they come out with those special holes for like Halloween and stuff where the courses are dark. It's really hard for me to see them. And this is kind of cool. I would like to see it where a clan president can buy a ball package for my fellow clanmates. I'd like to see it where the clan president can give like there's a prize and we can do, or like something that we need to do more stuff with the clans. All this other stuff, the clans are where we need to have more interaction with our clans. And I don't see a lot of glitches in the game. Maybe I got a better connection overall or a better device. I have no idea. But I don't see a lot of glitches in the game. Are there glitches? You bet. Is it ever going to be absolutely glitch-free? Are you kidding me? No software will survive contact with the public. And number two, everybody's got a different internet connection. Everybody's got a different device. Everybody's got different stuff going on. Your opponent's on a bus and they enter in a tunnel, and all of a sudden now we're in a thing where they're not getting internet connection and it's spinning on your screen. There's just too many variables like that you can't blame all those glitches on Playdemic. A lot of those glitches are not on Playdemic's side. Let's see if we can find one more. Sincerely believe that there is a lack in Golf Clash. The putter. Add a new stylized putter. What are we going to do? You putt the ball with the putter. You don't need side spin. You don't need curl. You don't need backspin. You don't need top spin. It's a putter. What they do need to do is just make it so that we can reach all the greens with all of the holes, no matter where we're at on the green. It may be a max overpower shot, but that's okay. Let's do one more here. Let's see, new clubs added. I'd like to see new clubs added to the game. I was only go up to Tour 7 anyways. You know, once again, this is about breaking the game right here. So I'm not sure. There's a big. It's really easy, once again, for us to say, hey, you need to add this to the game, but you have to look at the overall dynamic. You've got newer players or people that have been playing for 3 or 4 months, let's say 6 months. And you have players that have been playing since the game came out in like March of 2017. It was February, March of 2017. The people that have been playing for that first year, you know, anything that you do there to give them that advantage, you're never going to be able to catch up to them, or it'll take a while. That's one of the things I like about the fact that we can max out clubs, is because you can catch up to them. You can get on the same playing field with them if you're playing towards max trophies. But it's not all about clubs. Everybody blames all of their bad stuff on clubs. This is not about clubs in all cases. It's about most people do not know how to adjust for wind. Crazy bankrupt losing streak. I'm not sure how the coin thing. I mean, gems are the hard currency in this game. The coin thing, when you're playing up, you know, you can lose your bankroll and can fall and go down. And then you don't have enough bankroll to play in some of those upper tournaments. But you can go to Tour 7, and if you've been up at the top and you've lost all your bankroll, you can go to Tour 7 and you can get your bankroll back pretty quick. You can go to Tour 7 and get enough bankroll to go to Tour 8, and you can work your way back up pretty quick. If you've lost so much of your bankroll that you're back down and you've got 200 coins, then that's your fault. Let's see if we can find one more. You should be able to put a photo of your gallery on Facebook. Wish we could gift clan members. If you're not paying, you're not winning. I went from over 500,000 coins to nothing and 1,100 trophies down to 800 something. They always preach fair play, and it's anything but fair. Money grubbing, period. I'm not sure how any of that is anybody's fault but the player. I don't know what the problem is there. If you had 500,000 coins and 1,100 trophies and you're down to 800 something, I mean, hey, you know, if you were playing Tour 7, you only had 500,000 coins. That's only 5 matches. You go out there and lose 5 in a row, bam, you're broke. Do something with maxed out cards. That seems to be a thing here, but I'm telling everybody, I'll tell you right now, they do something for those maxed out cards, and you go, yeah, they did something. That something may not benefit you. No chance of winning a tournament. And you can win tournaments, and the whole goal is to quit trying to win tournaments. If you've never won a tournament, and look at your stuff. Have you ever been in the top 20? If you're a top 20 player, then you should be looking at trying to win tournaments. If you've never been in the top 20, then your goal should be to try and get in the top 20. And you don't go out there and with a race car and go, hey, I'm brand new and I'm gonna win the Indy. You need to win on a short track first. You need to get yourself up to that point. How about winning and losing? Let's see if we can find if there's any other good ones on here. This is a questionable one. If you win a match, you should be able to keep your ball and not lose it. That might. I kind of agree with that. I've played sometimes where I've had a ball that I've played with for weeks before I finally hit it into the trees or into the drink or lost it. Less bots and more consistency on everything. I think the bot thing goes back to the higher up you go. You know, everybody wants the peer pressure in this game is that you go up the scale and you go to Masters and you got to be a Masters player. Oh my gosh, you've been playing for that long and you have that club. You need to be a Masters player. You're just a bad name for playing anything but that. And I don't buy into that whole deal. I'm not going to allow that thought process. It's all about what the competition's like, and the competition that's out there is pretty stiff no matter where you're at. All right, that was just a little look at that, what people were putting on there, and just talking a little bit about the game. Hey, thanks for watching.